What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be getting into my Week 16 NFL predictions here. And yes, you see that pigskin bracket challenge. That's officially time. How much longer do we even have? 3 more weeks, or 4 technically, after this one until we would start that bracket challenge. That is hype, man. I'm excited to get into the bracket and make some crazy picks. But anyway, guys, before we get into this, we obviously have got to look over my Week 15 picks, what I got right and what I got wrong. Starting out with the first matchup, I did correctly pick the Raiders as they just thump LA in that one. Dominant win from the Las Vegas Raiders on Thursday night. Did get the Bengals game right over Minnesota. Minnesota really struggled to close that one out, and the Bengals were the better team at the end, in my opinion. Did get the Colts game right as well over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was kind of competing for that first half, but it was not enough to win it. And then the Broncos got that one wrong, unfortunately, against the Lions. The Falcons lose to the Panthers. That's a big-time loss for Atlanta. Did get that one wrong. Also got the Tennessee Titans game wrong over Houston. The Titans in overtime couldn't finish that one off. That was an upset I picked. Couldn't get that one right. Did get the Dolphins game right over the Jets. A dominant win for Miami right there. Did get Cleveland right over Chicago, but the Bears were winning this game pretty handily earlier on in that game. Just couldn't close that out, and obviously the failed Mary as they kicked it up. Unfortunate there. Did get the Packers game wrong, though. The Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield goes into that one and pulls off a big upset. So congratulations to Tampa Bay. Did get the Saints game right, though, over New York. Pretty obvious one there. Saints were the better team, especially on that defense-offense matchup. Did get the Chiefs right over New England. New England kind of hang around, but it wasn't enough. Chiefs, though, still some concerns on that team with those receivers. Did get the Rams game, though, right over Washington. Washington tried to make a late-game push, but couldn't quite come back. And then we got the Niners game right over Arizona. Did get the Bills upset right over Dallas. Buffalo was just the clear better team on Sunday over Dallas. The Bills, Josh Allen played a really good game. Dak Prescott really struggled, and the Bills pull off a big upset. Did get the Ravens game right over at Jacksonville as well on Sunday Night Football. And then finishing it off with the big upset, got the Seahawks right. Drew Lock comes in and pulls off a big-time upset over the Philadelphia Eagles right there. Okay, so that means I do go only lose 4 games that week. 12-4, really solid week, especially with all the mayhem. Finished 142-82 so far in the season. So we have 3 more weeks to maybe, I think I can get there without getting to 100 losses. I think that's very much possible. Within 90 losses, that's going to be a little bit tough, but let's see if we can do it. All right, starting out with Week 16 matchup, we do have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Los Angeles Rams here. These two teams, this is a big game for both these teams. These two tonight need a win to keep their playoff aspirations alive. If New Orleans loses this one, it's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs because I do believe Tampa owns that tiebreaker over them, even if they beat them. So this is a big game for the Saints. They really need to win this one. For the Rams, they also need to win this one. I think in the NFC, you're pretty much safe if you finish 10-7. 9-8, that's a very big question mark. So you could miss out there. I am going to go with the Los Angeles Rams, though. I think this offense has been proving to be the better unit here. The Saints secondary is going to be a good matchup with those Rams wide receivers. Ultimately, though, I think this Rams team is the better coach team, and it's being played in LA, and I just think that the Rams are the better team. So I do think I am going to go with Los Angeles here, but I do think 16% is not giving the Saints justice here. I could see them pulling off this win. All right, down here on the Saturday games, we have two of them on the 23rd. We have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on Pittsburgh. Steelers are reeling right now. What if they lost like three straight, I believe, after a 7-4 start? They have been struggling mightily to figure things out. And then if you look at the Bengals, they're the opposite right now. They're surging. They did kind of struggle the previous week. Jake Browning, he did make a few mistakes, but he did hang in there and pull off the win. So it's going to be a tough one. These is whenever the NFC North or AFC North matches up, it's close. So again, I don't think 17% is doing the Steelers any justice here, especially with Mason Rudolph now starting. So that's obviously coming into consideration. But still, the Steelers have a good defense. Mike Tomlin's going to get this team to compete, but I am going to go with the Bengals here. I think this team is better. Their defense is better than I think at this point than the Steelers' defense, and this offense is much more consistent. So I am going to go with Cincinnati to pull off the win, even on the road. Down here, we do have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Chargers. Another Saturday game, going to be on Peacock. No need to tune into this one, I think. The most Buffalo thing would to be somehow lose this one after beating Dallas, dominating them. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Not going to bet on that for sure. Give me the Bills to win that one. All right, moving on. We do have Christmas Eve games now. We have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are in a position where this is a must win game. If they lose this one 6-9, you really need the Saints and the Bucks to lose, and then you need some even more help. So they need this one. If you're looking at the Colts, this is a team that if they win this game, they are going to be right in the mix right now, right in the wild card spot actually to make the playoffs. And really, if you look at these two teams, Arthur Smith, I don't think is a bad coach. I think he's a good offensive mind, but he hasn't really rallied around this team. You look at the Colts, this team's been well coached all season under Shane Steichen. So I am going to go with the Colts. This defense, I think, is going to play a good game. Desmond Ritter's been benched again. Taylor Heinicke, he is not much better than Ritter for sure. And then you look at this Colts offense, Gardner Minshew's playing good football. At this point in time, Falcons do have playmakers, so it's being played in Atlanta. This team's been better, much better at home, actually. So I could see the Falcons actually pulling off this upset. Again, these first 3 out of these 4 matchups, I think they're not really doing them justice, but I'm not going to go with upsets in any of them. I kind of want to pull off an upset on one of these, actually. You know what? I'm going to actually go with my gut here. It's actually saying that the Falcons are going to pull off this win. And the main reason, it's being played at home. I think Atlanta's been much better at home. You look at this defense, they're solid. I think they have a lot of weapons. I think they're more better off than the Colts. So I am actually going to pull off the Falcons upset here, surprisingly. Just going to flip it up there at the last second, but I could really coin flip this one. But I do think with these first 3, I think one of these 4 for sure, at least, is going to be an upset. And I'm going to just pick the Falcons. Excluding this one. I don't think that one's going to be, but... All right, moving on. We do have the Seahawks taking on Tennessee. Interesting game. The Titans are eliminated from playoff contention, but I don't think a Mike Vrabel-led football team is going to lie down and tank the rest of this season. The Titans still are a very solid team, a very competitive team. You look at the Seahawks; they are right in the mix of things after beating Philadelphia. And this team's deadly, man. This team, if they're on, they can be deadly. Geno Smith should be playing this week. I think he's a better option than Drew Lock. I think the Seahawks defense is going to play well. Take some more strides this week. So I am going to go with Seattle here. The defense going to play well against Tennessee. It's being played on the road, but I do think the Seahawks pull off this win. But again, Titans, frisky team. This one could be close, but I am going to go Seattle. Okay, down here, we do have the Lions taking on Minnesota. Big game for these two. These two need to win this game. If you look at the Lions, if they win this game, not only does that help their playoff seeding, but it clinches the playoffs for the first time since like 2016 or whenever that was. And then they're being playing at home. So I don't even know when the last time they've done that. But anyway, you look at the Lions, you look at that roster. It's a decent football team. It's very well coached. They have been proving that they can win some games here. If you look at Minnesota, this is a team that, has been very off and on. They kind of figured out their offensive concerns last week. Playing Justin Jefferson helped. That team was better off with him, of course, but this one's a tough one. It's being played in Minnesota. It is a rivalry game. Again, lots of upset opportunities here, but I am going to go with the Lions. This team is playing good football at this point on. After that Broncos game, they were struggling, but that Broncos game has got me to buy back into Detroit. I think this team is just overall better. Could we see an upset with the Lions or the Vikings playoff hopes on the line in Week 18? I think for sure we could. But right now, I do think the Lions are going to want this more with their talent. I think it'll be enough. So give me Detroit. All right, down here, we have a meaningless game besides draft position, between the Washington Commanders and the New York Jets. The Jets are 5-9, Washington's 4-10. So this is meaningless, but let's give my analysis for this one. The Jets, I don't even know if Zach Wilson's going to be playing in this one. I don't think it's going to be mattering all too much. It probably will. Zach Wilson's a better option than what they got, but you know what I mean. I mean, the Jets are just not a good football team in general. The defense is pretty darn solid, but then last week they struggled, against Miami, even without Tyreek Hill. And then you look at Washington here. This is a team that's reeling right now. This defense is horrible. And this offense, Sam Howell's kind of been regressing. So I do think I'm going to go with the Jets, though. I'm going to go with this Jets team at home to get a win, move to 6-9 in a meaningless win. And I do think Washington slide. This team was like, how many losses has this team lost in a row? Because I know this team was like 4-4 at one point. So the Commanders going to continue to slide. All right, down here we do have the Packers taking on Carolina. Green, this one's a weird one. Carolina coming off a win. Green Bay's kind of reeling. This is the perfect time for the Packers to bounce back. If any defense that Bryce Young and this offense can maybe figure things out on, it might just be Green Bay's, who plays one of the softest defenses in the league. So maybe they can exploit that. But obviously I'm not going to bet on Carolina. I know they just won. I'm not going to bet on that team and how bad they've looked. The defense has been playing well, but I do think the Packers offense has more talent in general. So give me Green Bay to pull off this one. Okay, down here, fun matchup. Now we got a good one between the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans. I believe C.J. Stroud is officially ruled out for this one, right? Let's search it up. Let me see, guys. Sorry. Likely missed the game versus the Browns. So we're going to consider that as out. That's going to be tough against this Browns defense. I know this one's being played in Houston, but Joe Flacco's been playing good football. The Browns here on Christmas Eve, I think, are going to get this job done. Give me them to beat the Texans. Okay, down here we do have Jacksonville taking on Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers come into this one, coming off a big win over Green Bay. They're playing good football on the offense. Defense is playing pretty decent. You look at the Jaguars. This is a team that's been reeling. They were 8-3 at one point. Now they've lost 3 straight. They need to win this one. Bad. Um, if they do, they will be in firm control of the AFC South from what my predictions have gone like. But that's a big if. It's being played in Tampa. I know this. It's two Florida teams, but still, it's still being played in Tampa Bay. So I could see this one honestly going either way. I am going to slightly lean towards the Jaguars here. I think this defense is a little bit better, even on the road. And I think Trevor Lawrence, this is a good bounce back game. This team's due for a win. They got a lot of good talent. So I am going to go with Jacksonville, but I'm not confident in that pick. But give me the Jaguars. Okay, moving on. We do have Cleveland taking on, or Arizona taking on Chicago. 5-9 Bears team against the Cardinals. The Bears, give them credit. They played good football the past month or so. Eberflus has, I think saved his job at this point. I think he's a good defensive mind, and he's kind of fixed this defense, especially with these accusations or acquisitions they've gotten with Sweat and some other players. If you look at Arizona, this is a team that with Kyler Murray is, decently frisky. They're not a great football team, but they're frisky with Murray. They can give you some fits. But I'm going to go with Chicago here. It's being played in Chicago. That's going to be tough for Arizona. The Bears are, rallying. They still have a chance to maybe make the playoffs. They need a lot of help, but they're going to try. This defense, I think, will play solid. Give me the Bears, though. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is a close one. Okay, down here, Dallas taking on Miami. Big game for two teams that need wins. Cowboys are coming off an unfortunate loss. Miami's coming off a big win. Now, is Tyreek Hill playing in this one? It's a huge if, or it's a huge question because they need him versus Dallas. So he's participating in practice right now. Yeah, so he should probably be back for Tyreek Hill, which is big. The Cowboys' defense has kind of struggled against some of these top weapons that teams have had. You look at a few weeks ago with DK Metcalf. I know. Other than that game, before that game they've been better, but there have been a few cases this season where they've kind of struggled. So Tyreek Hill is going to be a big factor. It's being played in Miami. You look at Dak Prescott. He's coming off a tough week. I think he plays a lot better on Sunday here. I think this game's going to be better. I think Dallas is going to play a good game. I think this is going to be a close game. Dolphins, this is a game that they need to prove they can beat a top team. I'm going to bet on them to do that here. I think they finally do it. It's being played in Miami. They need this one to make the postseason. And I think they get the job, or they need this one to continue their strides and maybe getting a 1 seed. They're going to play Baltimore the very next week. So I am going to go with the Dolphins, though, over the Cowboys in this one. And then here we have a Sunday night football game between the Broncos and the Patriots. Not hard for me to pick this one. I am going with Denver. It's being played in Mile High. I mean, come on now. You've got to go with there's 3 games. There's 3 games on Christmas. Okay. Didn't realize that. But anyway, you've got to go with the Broncos here, I think, in this one. And being played in Denver, Russell Wilson and the Broncos are going to handle business here. I know it's a decent Patriots defense, but if anything, the Broncos defense will shut down this horrible Patriots offense. So give me Denver to pull off this one. Okay, down here we have the Chiefs taking on the Raiders. AFC West matchup. Believe it or not, the Raiders have given the Chiefs some fits over the past 6-ish years of these two playing football, but obviously these are two different teams. The Chiefs are not the same Chiefs that we're accustomed to seeing. That defense for Kansas City has been really solid this year, but it's the receivers that have been a little bit concerning. You look at the Raiders, this team is in a evaluation year, a rebuild type year. They're trying to figure things out with this roster. right now. In a must-win game for Kansas City, though, I am going to go with the Chiefs here. Not going to go with an upset on that one. I do like this Chiefs team a bit more. So give me the Kansas City Chiefs to pull off the win over the Raiders. Okay, down here we have Tommy DeVito going to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Fun matchup here on Christmas. You know, the Eagles are a team that needs a win. They've lost 3 straight games against really good football teams, but still, they have lost 3 straight games that they needed to prove that they can win here. If you look at New York, a team that's not technically out of the mix, similar to Chicago, of the playoffs, they're trying to stay alive somehow. But the way that offense looked last week, I think it's going to be a problem here. The Eagles' defense is pretty darn good, so it's going to be tough for this Tommy DeVito-led Giants team. Being played in Philly too, that's just too hard for the Giants. So I am going to go with the Eagles to pull off this win, unfortunately for New York. And then finishing off on a Monday night, we have on the Christmas night, 49ers, Baltimore Ravens, 2 of the top teams in their respective conferences. 2 teams who are 11-3 at this point, 2 teams trying to clinch up this 1 seed. It's a massive game for both of these teams. They're both really freaking good football teams here. You know, you look at San Francisco, they've been playing dominant football the past couple months or so. You look at the Ravens, this team has been playing this team I think was really good at the beginning of the year. The past few games have got me questioning this team. I know they just beat Jacksonville, but still, it's a question mark for sure. Can this defense compete with the best of the best? And I'm going to say yes in this one. Yes, I'm going to bet against the 49ers here. I'm going to pull off a crazy upset. A lot of people counting this Niners team as one of the best teams in the country, or the clear best team in the NFL. I've been riding with the Ravens. I know I just said that this team has been. They were iffy against the Rams defensively, but got that figured out last week against the Jaguars. It's a much different type of beast against the Niners, but my gut says that the Ravens pull off a massive upset over San Francisco. So give me the Ravens to pull off this win over the 49ers. So those are going to be my picks here for Week 16. A couple upsets in there, I believe. Not too many. I said that there could be a lot, though. You look at Minnesota. You look at maybe Carolina, Tampa Bay, I would say, Dallas, maybe Tennessee, Atlanta. I predicted that. Maybe Pittsburgh and New Orleans. So there's a lot of upset opportunities. If you want to, take a chance on one of those, by all means, do so. But anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed the content. Comment down below your predictions. Anyway, guys, peace out.